There's been championships in the past that guys have won, Supercross, motocross, whatever, that you just feel like, okay, well, that happened because of this reason. And because of that happened, this happens, and he ends up winning because of that happened and that happened. And, well, I don't feel that way with this one, and I think you guys shouldn't either. Over riding the motorcycle, making all this noise. That's what you saw that first moto. Hey, I'm going to take them keys. If you don't ride better. He was like, okay. He came out and he was like, Tom Vialle, I'm going to kill you. Like, I got to show up.
Little James, Bubba.
Induct you in the AMA Hall of Fame.
But Stewart has found a way to redefine this whole race course.
Oh my goodness.
Fastest guy I've ever seen on a bike.
He will win his second world championship.
You can call him whatever you want. He'll still kick your ass every Sunday.
What's up, guys? You know who it is, your boy JS7, and you know where we at. We at the final round of Pro Motocross at the Rewind Show, baby, from Ironman, where we saw the 450 championship get wrapped up, and your overall 450 champion, Chase Sexton, continue his things. Yes, we kind of knew it was coming, but it was good to see it coming. So congratulations, Chase Sexton. And then we also saw a battle for the ages. Haiden, Deegan, Tom Vialle, Chance Hyman. Them boys was going at it. And then in the 450 class, would Hunter Lawrence keep bouncing back? Would Beast Mode be back after a couple weeks, having a little time off? He only had like 3 days off, but he was back doing his thing. He was closer. He's going to have another week off, and then we'll see in the playoffs. But it was good to see Eli Tomac up there. And then, of course, you had the AP. I'm voting for you, AP, for president. I'm about to AP. So, from Ironman, you know what we got to do, people. The final time this year. Let's get into it. Track in Indiana, it looks fun. It's one of the best circuits that I've seen. We talked about the last couple weeks with Butts Creek being very good. The riders enjoy it. I never had a chance to race Ironman. The dirt looks fun. It's a really fast racetrack, but the way it's kind of laid out and just the way the dirt is, it's not dangerous. How I feel, somewhat like Unadilla. Like Unadilla, the difference between Ironman and Unadilla is that the ruts here at Ironman, they give a little bit. So you have a little bit more room for error. The bike has a little bit of that little settledness. You guys know the Rewind Show. Y'all know what I mean. Got a little bit more forgiveness on that compared to Unadilla. It's them A's. So for these guys, no one complain. Yes, it is fast, but you don't really hear guys talking about it. It's dangerous. And I think a lot of that comes down to the soil, having the big jumps and having a little bit longer lap times. It feels like it's longer, allows for these guys to get out, all out, knock down. Yes, it was hot, so they started feeling it. I think a lot of that comes from it's 28 races into this thing, so a lot of these dudes are tired. But Ironman looks like a fun racetrack, and these guys showed out for us on the final round for us. Man, I wish I had a chance to ride it, but it was great to be there and witness these guys do their thing, and it looks like fun. Unlike last weekend, the track at Ironman presents a lot of passing. Yeah, even though it is fast, it just has way more opportunity to pass. And for some reason, I know most of these tracks, they seem like they're the same width. They kind of somewhat have a scale, but with this track, just the way the layout is, it allows these guys to have insides and outsides, and the way they set the track up, because it's so open and because it's so fast, you don't have these switchbacks. It allows these guys to actually make passes, even though the width is the same as it was at Butts Creek. So you go from one of the hardest track, if not the hardest track to make a pass on, to one of the tracks that we saw a lot of passing happening. And that's just the difference of the layout of the racetrack, not necessarily the width. It looked like fun, baby. You could tell your boy's still a little excited for it. It was good to see. All right. We're going to do a little different today. Normally, I kind of save this for the end, but hey, dude demands respect. So I'm going to start with Chase Sexton. Yep, it's Chase Sexton. It's Chase Sexton Day. Chase Sexton Day. Now, look here, people. Before you say anything, just don't. I can say something. and you guys can listen. And then you guys say something because I need y'all to say something. But I want to talk about Chase Sexton. The reason I want to talk about that is because he is your champion. And when you see some championships, there's been championships in the past that guys have won, Supercross, motocross, whatever, that you just feel like, okay, well, that happened because of this reason. And because that happened, this happens, and he ends up winning because of that happened and that happened. And, well, I don't feel that way with this one, and I think you guys shouldn't either. And hopefully by the time you finish hearing me talk, you'll understand where I'm going, and maybe you'll change your opinion or not. Maybe you don't even have this opinion, but of course somebody does, because opinions are like booty holes. Everyone has one. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Some of them bigger, some of them flatter, whatever. Good to have an opinion. But Chase Sexton is your 450 motocross champ 2024. Now, people bring up, if Jett Lawrence wasn't here, Eli Tomac was here, things would be different. Of course they would. They have more people on the racetrack, and yeah, you have more battles. And the thing I talked about a couple of weeks ago was that because those guys weren't here, Chase Sexton has been able to build the confidence, and Chase has been getting better and better to where you see this version now. Now, when people talk about things would be different, like I'm not here. I'm not saying that if Jett was here, Chase wouldn't win. If Jett was here, Jett would win. Like, it's not going in that debate. What I'm going into is that Chase Sexton is a different rider. So when those guys come back, it's going to be up to one person and only one person to really see if this version of Chase Sexton continues, and that's Chase Sexton. Because if this version of Chase Sexton's here, we in for a store of a hell of a 25 season. I don't even think with the playoffs is going to be the real version of what we possibly can get, because, and I'll talk about him in a second, so I ain't going to jump far. I just think that the playoffs are the playoffs. Everybody's going in there to race one goal. Motocross is motocross. It's a different animal. The KTM works a lot better outdoors. I think Chase felt better instantly outdoors, and we saw how Paula went, like he was right there. And then obviously we saw how the beginning part of the season goes, and then Jett went out. But we all saw a difference, and there was a difference in Chase and the way those things are going. Jett Lawrence on the 24 Honda, like now he's on 25. Look at Hunter. So yes, of course things would be different, but this version of Chase Sexton and the way the playoffs is going to be, I think these guys are going to be racing to win those playoffs, which is a different kind of format than going in Supercross. Biggest thing for Chase is that he's going to have to continue, hopefully get through these playoffs. Whatever happens, it happens. But remember the person that he is this year, and hopefully carry that over into Anaheim, because then you'll start to see the difference between him as a person and his mentality and attitude versus Jett Lawrence coming in this thing. And depending on what happens in the playoffs, anyone else that gets into this, and we'll be able to have a battle. But because it's going to be a different series, maybe Chase Sexton goes to Anaheim and he struggles in the beginning part of the Supercross, doesn't mean that he's not a better rider. As I mentioned, KTM's a little bit different. He's going to have to work on this bike. But overall, because those guys haven't been here, and because he's built this confidence in his mind, he is a lot better, which he is, and it shows up in his riding. So when we talk about guys not being here and what things change, you got to remember, you can't put the person that was racing those guys in the beginning of the part of the year, or the guy that was racing Eli Tomac in 22 and Eli got him. That person isn't there. Like, he's gone. Picture the dude that was riding the other day on Saturday, picture him, and then picture what we're going to have to witness. And that's going to be your battle. Even with that being said, Jett Lawrence, you think he wouldn't step his game up? Like, all I think about is that Chase has elevated, which is going to make Jett Lawrence elevate. And it's going to be up to other guys to elevate. And then we're going to have a battle. So just to have the likelihood of what's going to happen and what happened in the past is going to be the same results now, it's just not going to happen. What the hell are you talking about, James? I don't know. What I'm telling you is that Chase Sexton's your 24 champion. What I'm telling you is that dude is different. He's riding different, and he's been the best ever since he's been on that KTM. And things could be the same as it was in the beginning part of the year. The bike could be the same, but the dude's mentality is different. And we saw this come in at the second race, that second moto. You saw how this thing was building, what he did at Southwick, and then obviously Jett went out. You just see the confidence of like, okay, I feel like no one can run with me. And I think he feels like at this point, and I think he said it at some point, and listen to interview, he just shows up in the second motos and he knows he's in the best shape. Everybody else knows. And since he was able to at least beat Jett once, he believes that no one on this planet can beat him in the second motos. And that's the confidence that he's got. So at that point, it's going to be up to Chase, as I mentioned, only one person to continue this thing going on. And no matter what happens in the playoffs, I still think if he can kind of get through that, you still won't get the real results because Jett will be coming back. Eli will be still here. It's going to be up until the beginning part of the Supercross to figure this thing out, and I'm excited to see it. So that being said, I'm going to back up to Saturday. So let's start with Saturday in the race. Let's talk about that in general, not what things and guys and all this stuff. Let's just talk about the race. Chase has always been pretty good here at Ironman, even the first year, even when I was working with him. Like, he was really fast. He kept hitting the ground, but he was really fast. Actually, the fastest guy on the racetrack. And we were talking, I think that was one of the races after Loretta Lynn's, that second moto. It was one of the races that he got that confidence that he knew he had the speed racing with these guys. And he came to Ironman. It was the second race of the year, I believe. And there was like a mud one. But nonetheless, he actually felt good, and he saw it coming, and he felt pretty good to where he believed and he saw that he had the speed. So he's always been pretty good here. And the reason he was good is because Ironman's a fast racetrack. And the one thing Chase was really good and always been good at is carrying momentum when you have these longer ruts, these fast corners. He was really good at keeping his momentum up, standing up. And I think he just felt comfortable. Where he kind of struggled at was some of the tighter stuff when the track slowed down and you got these 90s and the slow corners. He wasn't good. Well, I just mentioned Ironman's a fast racetrack. So naturally, when he shows up here, I think he just feels comfortable. It is somewhat of a hometown race. Dirt's good. And because of the conditions being a little bit hotter and the momentum that he's had all year long, you just know the guy just felt like he was going to win. The championship was to the point to where once he got through practice, and I think the first practice with him being the fastest kind of got rid of all the nerves of the championship, because no matter how big your points lead is, just wrapping up a championship, you're just nervous. You know, like if my mama was out there, I'd be nervous. Even though I had 80,000 points, she lined up on the gate, I got a title on line, I'm nervous. Why? Just because I'm nervous. That is the championship. So no matter how big that points lead is, you just have that. Well, once you're the fastest, and we saw Haiden Deegan go out last weekend, first qualifier, fastest, eliminate being the nervous, because you feel like, okay, all the thoughts that you had, what if I'm slow? What if I'm this? And believe me, those guys are worried about that. No matter how many times you win, you just always think you're never going to win. So once you had that, and Chase got that this first practice, just like Haiden last weekend, I think it eliminated that. And because his points lead was it was to the point to where all he had to do is win the first moto or beat Hunter by a certain amount. And the fact that he had the second moto to lean on, I think him and Haiden didn't have the championship of riding protective. Like, I think Chase got in that first moto, felt pretty good. He was passing these fools and knew that they haven't pulled away. I'm already good on this track. I've been fast all day long. I'm going to win. They know I'm going to win. And so it was really a cool place to be at for Chase. And I think you got the best version of himself and the best ride of the year. Yes, maybe not the most spectacular ride, maybe not the most interesting ride, but for me, it was the best ride of the year of the number 4, probably the best ride of his career, even over the one that he came from last to 40th. I mentioned on the post-race show that that guy wouldn't have came from last to 40th. Last to 40th? Yeah. Last 40th, he was in last, and he was in 40th to first. Yeah, that guy wouldn't have came from 40th to first. He would have came from 40th to second, because he wasn't going to catch this dude that was riding on Saturday night. And what my whole point is that Chase has gotten better. Like I said, wasn't the most spectacular ride, but it was the most impressive ride in speed-wise. And it was cool to watch because it's all confidence. And my whole narrative of all this story is that this dude's riding on confidence, and how close he was to Jett last year and how close all these guys are. It really comes down to upstairs. Jett Lawrence, mentioned this 2 weeks ago. Jett Lawrence became Jett Lawrence because of the situation Jett Lawrence was in, because he was able to build. And now he got to the point where he just looked at those dudes and said, I'm going to wax that booty. Now, Chase Sexton's been able to build that confidence, and circumstances allow those guys to do it, which allows them to be the best version of themselves, which that's why you get excited to race, because at no point you're going to ever have the best. I'm feeling the best ever. For instance, you're not going to have the best ever, greatest ever ride I've ever had, Jett Lawrence, versus the greatest ride I've ever had, Chase Sexton, and they're going to show up in the weekend, and both of them are going to feel like I'm the best I've ever been. It's just never going to happen. But what you're going to have is more of a consistent guy, where one guy doesn't feel like the other guy has a mental advantage over him, and the other guy, even though he doesn't feel like he's on, he can still beat that guy. That's what you got, and that's what happens. And that's what happened last year during motocross. And that's what happens this year for Chase Sexton, is that he doesn't have to, I believe he's not going to feel like I got to be on my A game to beat this dude, because he hasn't been on his A game, even though his A game and his B game is a lot of other guys' A games. The level that he's been riding at and the confidence that he's been able to build has allowed him to have more margin room to where he's going to show up next year and at these races and feel like when things aren't right, I can still wax this dude because of everything that's happened this year. And Jett Lawrence was able to do that last year. And that's why Jett Lawrence, even when we saw some of their supercross races, he wasn't the fastest and he had a bad heat race, he could still show up in that main event and still win. Why could he do that? Is because he had all this past history of beating these guys. Well, now I think Chase Sexton has that. That's why I said it's not likely that they're ever going to show up, that he's going to be peak performance, knockdown, drag out. But for us, it's going to be better, because every weekend they're going to have a margin that one feels like they can always beat the other. And that's what's going to make that battle. That's what it's going to be cool to watch in 25. For me, when I raced Ricky, it was never like, okay, some days I showed up that I knew, I woke up, I ate my eggs, and I was like, he is done. He is going to lose today. This is before I even put my socks on and walked out the house. You just feel it. Some days I was at the racetrack with my socks on and wanted to take my socks off, because I was like, oh no, I just don't got it. And as I got going, and once I was able to, especially in that 2007 Supercross season, once I got going and I was able to win the first race and win a couple, I would be like, all right, you know what? My socks, they got a hole in it, but whatever, I'm still going to win. You just get that confidence. And as the guys get going, that's why you have these momentum rides, and it's really cool to watch. So sorry for rambling, people, but I just wanted you to understand that the dude's going to be different because he's mentally, and both of these guys, I know Jett Lawrence is going to be Jett Lawrence. And I know for us, we're excited to see it, but he also knows that, dude, he's going to have to race a guy who just allowed him to build the confidence. And I said in the beginning part of the motocross, and Supercross, I said him, Chase Sexton, and some of these other guys, they're a little emotional. They go up and down. We talked about Jett Lawrence's, strategy to beat Chase Sexton. He don't mind like hanging out behind Jason Anderson. Well, maybe not him. Bad example. He don't mind letting AP lead a few laps, Dylan Francis lead a few laps. Chase Sexton? Oh, hell no. He can't lead no laps. Why? Because he knew that the dude, if he got confidence, he was fast enough to be like, okay, he could be a problem. So he would attack him. He would beat him down. He would make sure that he always knew that you just ain't good enough, no matter how good you think you are. Well, Jett knows that this dude's been feeling like, okay, I'm better, and I'm realizing how good I am, and I've been able to beat at least somebody with a Lawrence name, some Vegemite Australia. I've been able to do that, and now he's gotten that confidence, and so it's going to be up to him to try to raise his game and then hopefully continue to try to beat that thing down and show Chase here. But nonetheless, it's going to be a hell of a season. It's going to be good to go, and I'm excited to watch it. So as I mentioned, what made Chase good on this racetrack on Saturday and why this weekend, particularly this weekend, he looked better even the first motos that he did, even the second motos in previous weekends. First motos, previous weekends, you had a chance. You know, he was still warming up, where I think won the championship. And you would think coming into this weekend, this race, that these guys had a better shot at beating him than previous weekends because he had that championship going. But as I mentioned, because of the way practice went and because his history and always being fast since he's been a rookie here, first time he showed, he just had more confidence. And I think this racetrack highlighted and made Chase and what he does really good. This track was set up for him. Mentioned last weekend on the show or the broadcast that Haiden Deegan, the way Budds Creek was, it allowed him, it brought the best version of Haiden Deegan out. It allowed him to feel comfortable and do what he does best. And what makes Haiden, it was just natural. It just came natural. Overriding the motorcycle, making all this noise. That's what you saw that first moto, and that's why he was so dominant. Well, I think Chase came here and did this, and he felt the same way. So that first moto, you just had the sense of the first lap that he's going to win this race. And normally you don't have that the first moto. You feel like those other guys got a chance. You get that second moto. Well, Chase was really good at continuing that momentum. And as I mentioned, what made this track, the layout and all the things, it just allowed him to feel comfortable at doing what he's doing. And he was really killing those guys in that new wood section. Not necessarily actually in the woods, but those little singles on the inside. And I was talking about this on the call, was that he would make up so much time in 190 in a single. Like, he was eating those guys up a lot. And when you look at the lap times, overall, Chase wasn't that much faster than any of them. Like, I think a couple tens, 5/10, it was less than a second. You know, maybe the second motor, maybe he was a little bit faster, but it was less than a second. But when you watch the race, it looked different. Like, it looked different. Now, AP was there, and what makes AP good too, this track highlighted a lot of that too. And I think AP had a little bit more motivation to represent, and he watched the show last weekend, and he knew your boy was like, come on, number 7, like, it's time to get one of these things. You're good enough. And if he didn't run into this beast mode of Chase Sexton just feeling like he can win there and beat everybody, he would have won that race because AP was pretty damn good. But as I mentioned, there was 2 corners really that won the race for Chase or made the gap, because overall the time wasn't that. And it was right after you go down to start, and they had that little, I guess, switchback lane, and it was like the split lane. And then you go through that next section. Well, anyways, the next corner after those 2 rollers, they had a single on the inside. You can either go outside where AP was like passing dudes, or you can go on the inside and keep that momentum up. And then the beginning part of the race, when that outside part, it was faster because right before you go in the woods, it was faster because you can carry the momentum, and they worked on the track. But as that race went on, and this is where you really started seeing that separation, because once that track slowed down and the outside wasn't a freeway, the inside was a line to go. Well, Chase was just jumping the single. Like, he was just jumping out, not jumping over the single, but he just kept his momentum up. He didn't have to stop and go. And that corner, and then once you get in those woods, and the last corner, once you get out of the woods, they had another single right before that Godzilla jump. Chase was just jumping that one. Like, actually, it was a corner before the Godzilla. Yeah, that one, whatever, or a corner and a half before. You know what I'm saying? You watched the race where Tom Massapool like fell over at, you know, where they had all the sawdust and he fell, and that went down. It's that corner, that single right there, and actually that next single, Chase was just jumping out. Sorry, people. He was just jumping out, and he just kept carrying his momentum up. And there was a point in the race where I think it was Hunter Lawrence or somebody behind him. Like, you can see the difference. And then even in the second moto, like, Chase was out by himself, so you couldn't tell the difference between him and everyone else. But just look at that part. And for all the amateur riders out there, it's a little history like a lesson. That's momentum. That's momentum. They put these singles on the inside, so you just slow down to make sure, like, the outside going farther out, it's longer, but sometimes they're like faster. the inside shorter, which ultimately is shorter. Anything you go shorter around the racetrack is faster. They put these singles here. They try to slow you down. Well, if it allows you to, just watch that race. Just jumping out a couple feet makes a huge difference, and especially on the 250. Why? Because it's not like you're going way faster in that section like miles per hour, or you jump in the wall jumping at Daytona. But what you're doing is not going from 50 to 10 and then back to like trying to build your momentum up to get to 50, then to slow down next corner. What you're doing is just going from like 50 to 30. And then to get from 30 to 50 is a lot quicker. So if that doesn't make sense for my young routers, basically what he's doing is like if he has a graph, right? And this is top of the speed. He's coming in the section at this point, instead of dropping down here. And then once you're down here, then you got to build your momentum back up to here. Chase is here and he's just dipping a little bit and then going back up. So what does that mean? You don't have to go from here to here and build that momentum up. And especially on the 250, it's a lot of work to build. So Chase kept jumping that single and he just kept that momentum going in that corner. And that's where he won the race. Actually, that was one of the only sections that Chase was the fastest at. And when you were looking at the first moto, Eli Tomac was behind him and he was like right there, but he couldn't catch him. And those guys were like right there. Chase really wasn't pulling away. But when you would get to that section, Chase would like pull away and then they would close in. But it was that one section. Eli was almost a second and a half slower in that spot, in that little segment 2, I think it was. He was a second and a half slower than Chase. When you add up everywhere else, the overall lap, Eli was only less than a second slower in the overall lap, but he lost a second and a half in that segment. So that's where he was getting killed at. Eli was faster than Chase everywhere else except for that section. And it was those 2 little jumps on the inside that Chase was really killing those guys. And the second moto, AP picked up on it, and the other guys tried after watching the film. But Chase, because the way he rides and naturally, I think he just felt more confidence. And then again, the dude was just like rolling. So when you look at racetracks and we got 2-minute lap times and all this stuff, racetracks it's about sections. It's about sections. And when you get to certain parts and certain racetracks, you really have to like hone in on sections instead of worrying about being, okay, I'm going to be the fastest around the whole thing. I'm going to, sprint. I'm going to have the fastest miles an hour. Like, no, you just got to be the person that don't slow down as much as everyone else. Like, you don't have to go high speed. You just don't need to slow down, and it balances itself out. And Chase this weekend, for all my riders out there that need some tips, that's where you do. And that's how you put in a fast lap time, because you don't have to be fastest anywhere, but the sections where you separate and it gets a little technical, Chase just kind of showed you how to do it, and it was cool to watch. And that's why he was so dominant, and it all comes from just paying attention. And for Chase Sexton, he just felt comfortable there. So it was really good to watch. And for everyone else, I think everyone actually rode really good. Everyone won. I'm going to go back to Chase in a second, but everyone won. I think AP, as I mentioned, he had a little bit more motivation because Eli Tomac was there. And there was a little bit more like, hey, is Eli going to be Motocross the Nations? Nuh-uh. You can't come in and knock Captain America out. Well, Captain America showed up. And AP, just as I say that was the best version of Chase Sexton, well, that was the best version of AP. Dude was rolling. Chase just was Chase. And that race got tough. And those guys start feeling it. I'm sure Chase started feeling it. But when you start pulling away and you just like, whatever, like you just don't get tired, even though you're tired. Well, AP rode great. Eli rode great. I think Eli came in here and won too. But back to AP, he had that motivation from the whole Motocross Nation team, and he wanted to show everybody else, and even including Eli, he needed to be better. Not just a little bit. He needed to be better than Eli in the sense of you're not even going to think about picking him. And it was cool to watch because it elevated his game. You saw Eli coming in and he elevated, which he rode great as well. But I think AP had that sense, and that was his motivation. That's why he rode good, along with he was on the hot list for, trying to get him a win. So, and then Eli came in here. He wanted a back-to-back, have a better motos than he did at Budds Creek. Now, I knew with Eli, listening to him on the gate, the first moto, I felt like his race was going to go exactly like it did, because he talked about he wanted to have 2 solid motos. Usually when a rider says that, that means they're going to be not conservative, but he's not going to be all in trying to like, I need to prove that I want to win at least 1 moto. I'm going to go out here and show speed for 1 moto because my whole goal is to finish both motos. And if a week ago you were solid the first moto and then you got tired the second moto, which Eli talked about, which is totally expected, then listening to him on the gate, and he said he needed 2 motos for his confidence in himself and even possibly the Motocross Nations team, that he wasn't even going to go as fast as he did at Budds Creek the first moto because he wanted to make sure that he could be solid the second moto. So listening to him, I kind of knew that, okay, unless he's out front and then the race win is on the line, that Eli's probably going to end up just being consistent, which he did. Now, that being said, Eli has more pace, and I think Eli, you got the version of, yeah, I want to win, and this race is going to be dictated off if I'm up front or not, but you got the version of Eli racing the season kind of race to where, let's say if he's in the championship and he's got points to lose, you know, he's got to finish both motos. That's the Eli that you got. And there's a little bit more pace to it. But my whole point was, listen to Eli on that gate, the first moto, I kind of knew that was going to be the version compared to if Eli would have just said, look, I need to prove to myself and everybody else that I can still win. You would have got a different version. I think Eli would have probably picked up and took those chances and blew it out the first moto and realized that, hey, my goal is here to just show these guys I can actually run this pace. He might have won and then got 20th. That would have been that version of Eli. And I think that was a version of Eli at Budds Creek where it was all about, I need to know if I'm fast or not. Well, he realized that in Budds Creek that he was solid. This weekend, it was about, I need to get both motos in. And then so you just got a different version of it. So Eli, he won this weekend because he did exactly what he needed to do. But of course, with him being the 4-time champion, Eli told him at beast mode, he don't like to lose. But you can tell by his interview and how he felt. Yeah, he was solid. Like he did exactly what he needed to do. Now he knows in the playoffs, it's different. He needs to go out there, and if he's feeling good and he wants to end this season on an up note, yeah, go in there. You'll have a different version of that guy because I don't think he's worried about, or maybe he is because there's a lot of money on the line, but I don't necessarily think he's worried about finishing top 5. I think he wants to go in there, and if he can go in there and somehow win this title, this playoff format and do that, then that's the version you're going to get. So playoff Eli is going to be different, but he did exactly what he needed to do. AP did exactly what he needed to do. The one guy that I would say, I wouldn't even say it was disappointing, it was kind of expected, was Hunter Lawrence. As many people, and I'm sure he's bummed, I don't think he's really bummed. First moto, he rode good. AP just rode better. Eli just rode better. Chase just rode better. That's it. I don't think anything else happened. I think the bike, they're going to have to continue to work on it. The bike was better. I would say this weekend, there were some more issues with the motorcycle that I think Hunter will make better, and I'm sure they will, but no issues to the point to where he couldn't win on it. I just think he got in that fact that, all right, first moto, championship's over, Chase is right here, and he's there. I really can't do anything, and even if I beat Chase, I don't think I can beat these other guys. And the way the track was, these guys were losing that much time to Chase, and then Hunter was losing time to other guys, and it was a real tug of war on, they would be right there and they'd pull away. A lot of that came from talking to some friends at that road, was that that wood section, you couldn't see nothing. I guess it was really bad. It was dark on TV, but it was really bad. And because of how fast this racetrack is, it was really hard to be really close to guys. So apparently, which makes sense, that when guys got really close, unless they passed them, they end up making a mistake because how fast this racetrack was and how long these ruts. And then once you got to that wood section, you couldn't see anything anyway. So guys didn't want to be up on the back of somebody and then not hit a pothole or hit a rut that they don't see, that they couldn't see even if they was by themselves. Guys were like, back off. So I think that was a lot of the reason why you saw gaps. Guys would be right on somebody, and either they'll make a mistake somewhere else because of how the track was, or they'll get to that wood section and they can't see anything anyway. They Ray Charles up in that joint. They backing off so they can see, so they ain't got no cataracts later. So nonetheless, track kind of played into that. And so it was a lot of work for Hunter to be able to make that time up that he's lost. And as I mentioned, he needed to beat Chase, but he also realized that AP's on it and Beast Mode's on it too. So it's going to be pretty tough. In the second moto, championship's up. These guys are in front of you. It's just tough. Like, it's tough. So what happened in the second moto? Ain't nothing to it. What happened this weekend? Ain't nothing to it. Hunter did great this year. And why he did great, I'm going to hit it for him. Please hit it for him.
Suntan, next on fire.
Yes, Hunter, you got one. I know you didn't win, but hey, dude, you did good. You finished all these races. You beat your brother. That's saying something, right? I know you weren't there, whatever. But hey, you had the red points. I'm kidding all aside, dude. You rode great. And you're going to be a better rider, just like everyone else that's raced outdoors. They're going to be better going into Supercross. So Hunter Lawrence, I had to give you a neck burn just because you kept it honest. These last few weekends, dude, you've been riding better. You ended the season better than even you did in the beginning part. So there ain't nothing that you need to hold your head down. And then you got the playoffs. Go out there and do your thing. Playoffs. Yes, it is the playoffs. So Hunter Lawrence, you did good. AP, hit it for him.
Suntan, next on fire.
Yes, you end up third in the points. Great. But you rode good, dude. Like, you rode good. I want you to win one of these things. Maybe you can win one of these playoffs because you need to win one of these, but you need to get you an outdoor victory, which you got to wait in 25. But AP, you rode good. So I'm giving you one. Eli, hit it for him.
Suntan, next on fire.
Yes. Eli Tomac, you get one of these things because you did exactly what you needed to do. And what you said you needed to do, you did it. So that's a win to me. You can win races without ever winning a race. And sometimes us riders, we need to win our inner battles. And I believe Eli won that inner battle. So he's going to get one of those. Justin Cooper, you rode good. Hey, I don't think a lot of people thought you were going to be as good as you were, but you were good. You end up fourth in the championship. I know you probably wanted to get on the podium a little bit more and possibly win one of these things. You rode good enough. I think for you, the races that you were really on it, that you could have been on the podium, that you went down in the first corner. But nonetheless, Justin Cooper rode great. Jason Anderson, you did your thing. You had some podiums in there. You doing what Jason Anderson did. So all these guys, they rode really good. But the one guy who rode better and deserves to be this champion is this guy right here. Now, when we saw the number 4, we were confused. We didn't know what was going on. Did we go back to the future? Whoa, this weekend was crazy. We had 7 versus 4. I know y'all seen a lot of that. But it was on orange bikes. Y'all ain't never seen that. You ain't never seen that. And it was confusing. And those dudes were rolling. And the gap they had on everybody else, except for number 3, Eli Tomac, those dudes were gone. It brought you back to a lot of memories. And a lot of memories ended up like what we witnessed this weekend. Like number 7 was like right there, and he was like really fast. And you like, oh, he got a chance. And then that number 4 ended up winning anyway. You're like, damn, all right, it was cool. Yeah, that happened. Yep, it happened. And it happened to me, which y'all already know it happened to me because I probably, whatever. That's happened before. Chase Sexton, from all of us here in Bubba's World in the studio, which is only me and the people in TV land, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas because, hey, Santa Claus, you are Santa Claus. You are the 7 Dwarf, the Rudolph, or whatever, that red-nosed reindeer, whatever. You got the red plate reindeer, whatever. Chase Sexton, congratulations. You are the 2024 AMA Motocross Champion, and nobody can take that away. And I would say you're the best guy. Like, you were the best guy. You were dominant. Guys here, not here. Anybody's here. JS wasn't there. Well, I was there a lot of races. I was just witnessing. I had to even come out on the racetrack and just be like, damn, dude, that was good. You just got to tip your cap. I ain't have no cap, so I had to clap. That's all I had. Chase Sexton, all kidding aside, congratulations. It was great. Now, it's time for the playoffs where you're going to get your Supercross champion and Jett Lawrence. He'll be back, and he wants to attack too. And all these guys, they want to knock you down. But right now, today, and until we get to the next day, you are the champion, and they all got to come after you. So congratulations, kid. Well-deserved. Great to see. Continue it. All right. So from that class, then it was the 250 class. You had Haiden Deegan, who just wanted to dominate these fools. Second moto last weekend, bad start. Track can't pass on. Can't get around my teammate. Whatever. First moto, bad start. Inside. Tom Vialle got to jump on me. He cut me off. I couldn't do anything with it. Now, he rode good. He had speed, but he obviously didn't ride that good. Why? Because mama said she was going to take them keys. Bruh. Daddy can yell. I mean, all you sons out there know, y'all know what's up. At least for me, my daddy, he be yelling all the time. Whatever. Like, it don't go in and out the other ear sometimes like my brother be doing, like Mookie Fever. Like, that's why he be so happy all the time. He be like, he don't get emotional like that. Like, he just like, yeah, whatever. Like, whatever. I can beat you. Like, my dad used to yell all the time. I'd be like, well, whatever. Like, all right, I get it. Like, I get it. But when mama yell, you pay attention. So Brian Deegan probably was like, yeah, you got to step up. Like, don't let these guys come in here and do your thing. Like, don't let Tom Vialle. You see how Tom Vialle, he worked you. You got smoked. You got cooked by the Hymans. What's up? Haiden was like, I'm still a champion. I got this new RA. Whatever. Yeah, whatever. Mama came in there. She like, hey, look here, son. Hey, I'm going to take them keys. If you don't ride better. He was like, okay. He came out and he was like, Tom Vialle, I'm going to kill you. Like, I got to show up. And Haiden showed up the second moto because mama was going to take them keys. You can't have that. Mama said Haiden Deegan was riding out like water boy out there. Like, he was like, high quality H2O. That's what he was. So that's what happened this weekend. And then you had Tom Vialle, and then you had Levi Kitchen, who rode great the first moto. Levi's starting to ride like a 450 guy. He's starting to plan these motos out, which is good because when you get on a 450, I said a long time ago, he's going to be a better 450 rider than even a 250. But nonetheless, everybody was mad at what's been happening, and they saw what happened that first moto at Buzz Creek. That dude just stomped y'all, and he's stomping y'all because like that's just what he wants to do. And that's Haiden Deegan I'm talking about. He's just mad. He wants to dominate you guys, and he's talking himself into dominating you guys, and you guys are listening to him talk, and it's dominates you guys. Now, my whole point was, I think this weekend, these guys came in here like they wanted to fight. And the cool part is the playoffs, they all got something to race for, but you're starting to see the way Tom Vialle raced Haiden Deegan. Chance Hyman's like, he was like more aggressive, and he's been more aggressive the first moto because of what happened at Unadilla and him finding that speed. Like, he's like, all right, dude, I can run these dudes. Just didn't seem like everybody had a little bit more, they were a little bit agitated this weekend, like had a little bit more aggressiveness. Track laid into that, but really what laid into it was that they want to win. And I think all year, and just the domination of what happened that first moto at Butts Creek. And Haiden said, like, I just wanted to break you guys. Most of these guys were like, hey, he's going to be like championship mode. Like, he ain't going to take no chances. Hell, case. Dude went the opposite. Dude was out there riding like championship for what? Like, that's how he was riding. And he left no doubt that he was the best dude. And then he told you that he left no doubt. And he was mad that he left a little doubt because lead wasn't even bigger than he wanted to. He wanted to beat y'all by 30 seconds. And he said that. So I think that the guys, everybody else, like, you know what? Forget it. Can't have this. Well, anyways, we showed up this weekend, and you knew Haiden was going to be like back to that moment because, hey, he got whatever he got at the second moto of Butts Creek. He was nowhere to be found except for where he was found at, and that was nowhere near the lead. And he was going to show up. He was fast. Well, Tom Vialle, he was fast, and I don't know if it was KTM or what, but nonetheless, he looked good. Well, the second moto, these dudes were going back and forth, and I haven't seen Tom Vialle cut anybody off since he was on the freeway trying to get off the airport exit. That's the last time I seen him cut somebody off like he did Haiden Deegan. I was like, damn. And then Haiden Deegan was like, dude, I can't let you cut me off because mama gonna take them keys, and I ain't got no way to get home. I need my keys because I drove here in my new car. She take my keys, my ass is on the bus. I don't even have a flight ticket. Delta sold out. I can't be carpooling. I need them keys. That's how you rode. And Chance Hyman was like, dude, I got the food. I got the food. I'm trying to come up. I'm trying to cook, y'all. I'm trying to cook. Everybody had plans. Levi was doing his thing. He's like, I'm going to beat these dudes like 450 class. I'm just not in 450 class yet. So I waited a little bit too late. But hey, I was there. Just Tom Vialle was mad because Tom Vialle never gets mad. But when he gets mad, he rides like he did the first moto. But yeah, I'm all over the place. But nonetheless, and then Levi went down, hurt his leg. And he was like, well, I won last 3 out of 4 DDs. What have you guys done? Nothing. I'm out. Peace. Hopefully he'll be good, healed up. Thanks, Ken. Oh, yeah, we had the German chocolate. He came from nowhere. Like, literally, he showed up in a class that he hadn't raced since last time he raced, and that was a long time ago. Can't even count. I don't even have that many fingers to count how many years. I feel like my son. Like, hold on. Got to start with 10 in the head. 10 in the head. Okay. 1. Wait, no, I already got 10 in the head. That's how I was, because that's how many years Ken Roxon was like gone. I don't think I ever seen him ride that Suzuki. Actually, it was like, anyways, it's been a long time. He popped out of nowhere. German Chocolate came in here, and then he was fast. But by the way, thanks, Ken. Flew home with you on the jet. Thank you, Levi, on the jet. It was cool to hang out. So Ken dropped in. Levi did good, but all that was coming in, and you saw the battle. The first moto, all these guys were going in. So just like the 450 class, everybody won. I think everybody came out of there. Tom Vialle literally won. Haiden Deegan got his keys back, so he won, and he won the title. Chance Hyman was like, cool, I finished where I finished at, and I wanted to finish a little bit higher, but hey, I did cook some bacon, so cool, I'm good. Levi just feels like, hey, when I get to 450 class, hey, I'm going to be even better. I'm just need to drop back down to 250 class. Not like Roxon dropped down, but just race these guys a little bit different because he fool's crazy. And then Ken Roxon came in here, was like, dude, I'm the German Chocolate. These kids are like, who are you? I wasn't even born when you were riding on this thing. Not literally, you ain't that old, but hey, they don't even know who you are. So, and you out there racing like, these fools are crazy. And they're racing 250 class. But nonetheless, all y'all won. And it was good to see. But the one person that did win was the one person that won. And that was the one person that won one moto, didn't win the next one, but he won overall. And that was Tom Vialle. So, Tom Vialle, please hit it for him.
Suntan, neck's on fire.
Yes, you got your neck burn. I know you didn't look that happy the second moto. I think you were 2 things. I think you were tired. You said you were tired because you went in there all out and you, like I said, you were trying to cut that lady off, trying to get off the freeway, like you cutting Haiden off, and then Haiden came in there, bumped you out. You're like, hell no, I can't take this. Can't even go back to the truck like that. So you came in here in the last race of the year. You don't know what happened playoffs. You just can't end it like that. So you went in there, you went all out. And then so I think a little bit you were somewhat disappointed the way that second moto went, but at the same time, like you won, that bonus check can make you real happy. So you straight and you rode better. And everyone else, as I mentioned, hey, Deegan, you won that second moto. You got the keys back, you win. But on all seriousness, Haiden Deegan, congratulations. We did you last weekend, somewhat like a Chase Sexton or everybody else episode, but you won. You straight. Going into the playoffs where you're going to have number 1 plate again. You straight, kid. But what I wanted to say was that all these guys out here, all these guys, 450, 250 class, when you talk about, let's put things in perspective. Hunter Lawrence, you end up second in the motocross series. Start the year, say, hey, you're going to be second in the motocross series. You might not get an overall victory, but dude, you're going to be in there week in and week out, and you're going to finish the season better than you started the beginning part. You'll be pretty happy with that. But I think you want more. Why? Because reality was once you got that first moto win and then you realize you had that number 1 play and then you realize like, dude, I can win. Your whole narrative changes. Like your attitude changes. Levi Kitchen. And you came off the Supercross series, but I don't think you really felt like, or maybe you did, but I don't know how much you felt like in motocross that you'd be like, oh, dude, I'm a title threat. First race, second moto, like first, second race, like you were right there, but then you kind of like you went on. But you end up 3rd in championship and you were second into that second moto. But nonetheless, you got almost won the Supercross title. And then you were right here and finished top 3 in the motocross. You'd have been stoked if I would have told you that in the beginning part of the year. Chase Sexton. Now, I think your goal is a little different. I think you wanted to win everything. So I don't know if I can put you in this list, but nonetheless, you're going to be the better version of yourself and win this motocross title. But you ain't disappointed. So whatever, I can't even put you on this list. AP, same thing. All you guys, remember your results. And right now, today, you're probably frustrated, and maybe some of you guys are not, because maybe some of you guys are like Chase Sexton, like, dude, I rode the best I ever did, and I won what I was trying to win. But in reality, you go back to the beginning part of the season and your goals and what you said you wanted to do and where you end up finishing, all you dudes are probably better than what you ended up. And at the end of the day, unless your name is Jet Lawrence, and even with him, I mean, he's like, look, dude, I'm your Supercross champion. I'm your defending SMX champion. And I probably would have won this thing. Like, if you listen to me, I probably would have won this thing anyway. So outside of him, because you want to win everything, you're probably pretty happy. So my whole point is keep things in perspective, but keep the attitude and the way you feel right now, because that's going to make you a better rider next year. Because you feel this way and you want more and you know you can get more, it's going to make you better. But at the end of the day, this is the old man talking as kids. Perspective is a big thing. And sometimes you just got to realize that what you accomplished is a good thing. In reality, second places, third places, if you said that in the beginning part of the year, all you fools would be happy. So be happy the way y'all are, because all y'all rode, got out of here healthy. It was a hell of a Supercross season, hell of a motocross season. Thank you very much. We witnessed some of the greatest rides we've ever seen, witnessed some of the best rides we've ever seen, better races, not so good races. But at the end of the day, there was a lot of good racing and a lot of guys stepped up. And I feel like everybody that's been in that top five, everyone, maybe outside the top five, actually go first to 20th, all 40 of y'all, everybody's like improved. Everybody's improved. Harry Kulas, like, he improved. Like, all these guys, they improved. Maybe some of y'all wanted to be better, but nonetheless, be happy, because y'all all rode good. And y'all fans, and I'm actually talking from a fan's point of view, thank you very much, because we got to witness a great year. And it ain't over yet, but I want to thank you all y'all for performing the way y'all did. And as an ex-racer, I know what I'm seeing, and I know when guys are still in it, and I know when guys gotten better, and everybody I see on TV has gotten better throughout the year. So thank you very much. It has been cool to watch, and I appreciate it because I get to talk about it every weekend. But keep it in mind that you guys crushed it this year. So thank you for that, and I'm thanking you from a fan's point of view. Now, with that being said, y'all better step up. Y'all better step up. You got all that money on the line? You got all the money on the line? Y'all already know what I would be doing for some money. And I'm going to throw a little jab right here. Well, y'all better wish y'all didn't have this playoff format back when I was out there. They'd be like the Monster Cup. You wouldn't be talking about Beast Mode. Beast Mode got ate by Sasquatch, the black Sasquatch with the dreadlocks. I wouldn't have dreadlocks because my helmet don't fit. Like, literally, it doesn't fit. I got to take the pads out the ride. Like, I need to cut it. Maybe when you see me cut my hair, oh, you got to be worried. But nonetheless, step up. A lot of money on the line. Take a bitch out. Do it. Anything goes for the playoffs. If you're in the format, Chiz ain't in the last chance, so you ain't got to worry about getting Chiz. So all you guys that qualify for the last chance, do your thing. Y'all can get into it, but everybody else that's in it, y'all got a chance. And if you don't got a chance, you still got a chance to win a lot of money, and that's a good chance to have. So that being said, Chase Sexton, congratulations. 450 motocross champion. Haiden Deegan, 250 motocross champion. RJ Hampshire, by the way, great job. You won too. Got your Supercross West Coast champion, Tom Vialle, Supercross East Coast champion. Like, there's a lot of champions. Eli Tomac, you just a champion in general. Cooper Webb, you just a champion. Oh, you guys, congratulations. Now, playoff time. Take a bitch out. Do y'all things. All right, people. Well, that was it from where we witnessed all that I said. And that was my stews and stews right there. That was my big list. And everybody's a stew. Congratulations. All seriousness. You guys crushed it. Appreciate it. As a fan and as a rider, thank you very much. 3 races left. Do your thing. That was it from Pro Motocross. That was it from Motocross Supercross season. It's been a hell of a year. 17 races, Supercross, 11 motocross, which 20. 17 in the head. We don't have enough fingers. I think it's like 28, right? 28 races later. Thank you very much. 3 left. Congratulations, all y'all. See you in a couple weeks. Playoff round number 1. That's it from Bubba's World. Thank you.